And we will call this meeting to order for the Traffic Safety Commission for Monday, October 12th. Well, it's still April in my mind, bear with me. Karin, did you start the recording?
I believe Zen already has.
Oh, thank you, Zen. All right, roll call. I'm here, Tony. Mark Carlton.
Here.
John Ehrlich. Did you make it in yet? Sarah Sand, I believe, is not here either. Neil Klein.
Here.
Casper. Roger Coleman.
Here.
Leslie Woodruff.
Here.
Jeff Grider.
Present.
And Bob Sherry.
Here.
Excellent. All right, let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. Flag in Newburgh is to the south of me, so stand and find your nearest flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Karin, do we have any public comments that's not here for our continued hearing?
So we have Eric Funk that's logged in, and a Nancy Laughland that's logged in. I'm not sure if they're here for the hearing or for other public comment. Zen, it also looks like Sarah, that might be Sarah Sand, is also in the attendee list, if we can promote her up too.
Got it.
Okay, so Eric Funk, are you here for the Sheridan Street hearing, or are you here for other public comment?
Am I allowed to unmute myself?
Yes.
Okay, I'm here to observe. I'm also potentially interested in applying to join the Traffic Safety Commission should a vacancy be available.
Okay.
And so that is my purpose.
Okay, awesome. Thanks for joining us. And then, Zen, can you promote Nancy Laughland up to see if she's here for the hearing?
And confirm that's Sarah Sand. That is.
Hello, this is Sarah Sand. That is indeed Sarah. I'm going to be on mute because I have my 10-month-old with me.
Fantastic. Thanks, Sarah.
So Nancy, are you here to talk about the Sheridan Street hearing, or are you just here to listen, or do you have other public comment?
I would like to talk about the Sheridan Street hearing.
Okay, well then we will wait until we get to that.
Okay.
Thank you. So Tony, we don't have anybody else here for just regular public comment.
Well, while we have Eric interested in Traffic Safety Commission, Eric, do you have Karin's email address?
Yes, I do. I believe I've emailed with her before.
Excellent. All right, consent to calendar, traffic safety meeting minutes from last month. We have a chance to review those, and if so, I'll take a motion to approve.
I move to approve.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion? All right, all in favor, raise your hand. And Sarah, I'm assuming you're raising your hand. On Teams, I can have people just raise their hand mechanically. It's kind of cool that way.
Mm-hmm.
All right, the motion passes. Number 2 on the agenda is we're going to reopen our hearing on Sheridan Street. If you remember, we carried it over from last month, pending additional data from Tualatin Valley Fire and Rescue and Waste Management. And let's start with an updated staff report. Karin?
So good evening, commissioners. I was going to do a PowerPoint, but one, my Chromebook wouldn't work, so we're not going to go down that path. We did provide in the updated staff report some locations where we could put parking or refuges along Sheridan Street if you so chose. We did not receive any additional comments from Waste Management or TVF&R for, against, or anything else. So based on that, staff would recommend that the commission not move forward with implementing any additional no parking on that street at this time. And that would be the staff report. I did forward two set of written comments to the commission earlier today. Hopefully you have that in your packet. So we can log those into the record also. But that's it for the staff report.
All right, and with any hearing, any questions of staff, of Karin on this from the commission? Yes, Leslie.
Karin, I was just wondering, I was reading through Robert Suppy's comments, and that was helping me remind, in addition to our minutes, our conversation about the refuges or the yellow curbs that are painted there on the corners. And I was just curious if you could provide any further clarity on whether those are refuges or what the purpose of those yellow no parking areas toward the corners are, please.
Well, so as we had noted, we can't find any record that they were actually set aside as refuges. They are, anytime you're away from a curb or a corner, there should be 20 feet of no parking from that corner. So unfortunately, in a lot of cases, people continue to park there. So those have been painted in a lot of other areas around town. Whether these were actually established that way for those no parking refuges, we don't have any documentation of that, although they do function that way. The only issue is that they are right there at the corner, and if somebody was coming down the street and partway through the block and didn't realize there was another car coming, they would have nowhere to go. So yes, they do function as refuges, but whether or not they were actually designed that way, I don't have any way to say one way or the other.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, we will go to opposition first. And so we have the two letters that came in, one from the Minthorn family which is, I think, E7 on the map, corner Meridian and Sheridan, southwest corner. And then Mr. Soppy, who's, I think, on the northwest corner of College or northeast corner of College, Sheridan, somewhere in that area. And then Nancy, are you here to speak in favor or opposed?
I'm actually a member of the Minthorn family, so I'm speaking about the 207, 211, and 214 Meridian.
Excellent. Anything to add on the letter that your brother submitted today?
Yes. No, just wanting to be here to make sure it was considered. So I appreciate that.
Okay, thank you. Karin, anybody else waiting in the lobby?
You're muted.
Thank you. There is somebody in, it's a phone number. Zen, could you promote that person up? I believe it's Robert.
Okay. It's actually not allowing me to, Karin. The only option I have is to remove. I see him as the attendee, but the only option it's giving me is to remove.
Huh. Okay, so Robert, I believe it's you. Do you have the ability to enter chat or Q&A? Well, no, you're on your phone. Doo-doo-doo-doo.
Let me just, yeah, I'm trying. It's,
So Robert, if it's you, if you want to say anything else, if you want to send me an email, and then we'll figure out how to get you up that way. I'm not sure if you heard that, you know, staff is recommending that we not move forward with adding any additional no parking zones on Sheridan.
Okay. We do have your letter, so everybody's read through the testimony that was submitted.
Mhm.
All right. Anybody here to speak in favor of it? Would assume this is Waste Management's issue. They'd be here to support it, but hearing none, I will reclose public testimony and start with discussion among the council, the commissioners. So in the order of upper left to bottom right on my screen, don't move. Newberg, me, Karin, Neil, you're up first.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a future Villa Road issue, or whatever decision we make or whatever recommendation that engineering makes to us, I think we're going to be, or somebody on the commission is going to be revisiting in years to come. Goes back to the old adage that we've been dealing with for a long time now of trying to put bigger vehicles and more vehicles on old infrastructure. When those roads were designed, people owned one, maybe two cars. Now they own 3, 4, or 5. And the infrastructure just isn't there to support the needs of today. So we are going to probably be revisiting it, but I don't have anything strong enough to, you know, not support what Karin's saying for a recommendation.
Mark?
Yeah, I'm kind of going to go against my gut feeling on this because I agree that there's an infrastructure issue. I agree when there's big vehicle usage, and like was pointed out the last meeting, the emergency vehicle conflicts. But what really is persuading me in this issue is the opposition from the residents. It's pretty unanimous. We haven't had a single resident say, oh yeah, this is a good idea. I have a problem when I try to get down the street and these big trucks are there. The issue seems to be from, well, obviously from Waste Management, which is a company doing commerce. So it's, you know, if they don't have any other way to accommodate, it's kind of on them, right? They're there as a service making money. So I'm going to be I'm leaning toward following staff's recommendation, but I'm more persuaded by the opinions and the testimony of the neighbors than I have of anything else.
Roger?
Thank you. I just want to clarify, looking through the packet, the recommendation from staff, I thought what's printed here is still the recommendation number 6, but what I'm hearing is now the recommendation is number 1. Is that correct?
That is correct. We had recommended 6 before, and then the commission had asked us to come back with some additional information, reach back out to Waste Management and TBF&R to provide you guys with more information. And that information just didn't come through.
Right,
So,
okay. But I just was getting, the packet still shows a recommendation of
It-
option 6.
It does. So when we put the packet out, it's a week in advance. And so we were still hoping we might get that information from them in that time between then and today. And it just never came in. So that's
Okay,
why.
so staff recommendation is 1 now.
Correct.
Okay, and I agree with that. So thank you.
All right, Bob.
Well, we had a number of folks send letters in August, and we have a few more today. Actually, 2 or 3 of them came in. Some of them are the same as last time, and it seems like the whole neighborhood there is in favor of leaving it the way it is, and we gave Waste Management an opportunity to tell us why we need to change it, and we got nothing. So I'm in favor of going forward the way it is.
Leslie?
I'm in agreement with everybody else. I appreciate Neil's comments that, yeah, I think this will be something that we'll visit again. And I appreciate Mark's comments about all the neighbors and the residents there being so opposed to this. So I agree that we should not take any further action tonight.
Jeff?
I'm in agreement. I don't think that we have sufficient evidence to go against everyone's opinion who lives there.
And Sarah?
Yeah, I agree with the sentiment shared with the commission this evening that, the entire neighborhood seems to be in favor of leaving things the way they are, and looked at this issue for Waste Management and didn't hear back from them. So at this time, there doesn't seem to be a reason to change anything.
My thoughts on it are parking on both sides does keep traffic slower because it restricts how fast people can drive through there. Hopefully it's restricting people's speed. If it was a safety issue for Tualatin Valley, I would thought they'd be more vocal about the access to be able to get to the homes. I know that getting to the homes is outside the purview of Traffic Safety Commission, but still a concern of mine. And then 3, if Waste Management really has a problem, they'll send a letter out that says, we're not servicing this road anymore. And so that's their ultimate hammer. And then we can come back and revisit that if the people want to have service on this road in lieu of parking. So it sounds like the straw poll I've been taking. Oh, Karin.
I just want to put Robert's information into the record, just so we're clear. I did get an email from Robert, and he said he had some additional comments, but will just state that I support staff's recommendation not to restrict any parking. Thank you. So wanted to make sure that he got heard. I don't know why we couldn't get him up on the audio, but there you go. So
thank you. So I think we're ready for a motion. If somebody chose to make one.
Before I will do so, but I just also wanted to say that I appreciated Robert's written testimony and was somewhat amused by the fact that if we remove parking from one side, that we may end up with less space because cars will want to go both directions. That was a well thought out piece of information. I move that we go with recommendation number 1.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Looks like Leslie seconded. I saw her hand go up first. All right, moved and seconded. Any other discussion on Jeff's motion to go with staff recommendation number 1, the do nothing clause? Hearing none, all in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Jeff and Sarah?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries and our hearing is done. So Karin, next step, I guess, is you'll send a letter out to the community, let them know we...
yes, I will send a letter out to them, letting them know the decision, and we'll move forward from there.
Do you respond to Waste Management as well?
Yeah, we'll send an email or send the information to Waste Management and TBF&R also.
Okay. All right, moving on to a police report.
Sergeant Roning was not able to attend tonight, and he indicated that he didn't have anything to report at this time.
Okay. And then you'll just keep the mic, Karin, with engineering.
Okay, so active issues log. I noted the couple of things that had changed and actually attached a couple of pieces of information for you along with those changes. Actually, one thing, hopefully Robert is still on here. He had asked about the Sheridan Street at College, which was an ODOT issue that the last time you guys saw an update was back in January. ODOT had said they would be doing field investigations in August, September. Actually got a phone call today from Dorothy Upton at Region 2, who said that they were running behind and they were doing the investigations this week. And then she called me later on in the day and said, yes, they do continue to see an issue there. They were asking what we thought the solution might be. And I said, well, I'm not sure we know a solution at this stage, but I would bring that information to this group. Where she was at was the only real thing she saw was the possibility of additional enforcement and or actually installing a median or traffic separator to allow only right turns in and out of Sheridan Street all the time. And I said, oh, okay. So again, I'm just giving you this information because I got it at like 3 o'clock this afternoon, which is why it's not written down anywhere or anything like that. So I wanted this group to kind of start to hear that and start to think about whether they want to, we want to recommend ODOT move forward with something like that or not. And like I said, I don't know if Robert is still on here or not. He does not appear. So I will make sure.
Look like it.
I will make sure that he knows that also. Again,
if they went right in, right out there, wouldn't that just push the problem up to Sherman or
possibly?
Franklin?
Possibly. The issue you have, a larger portion of the issue is the fact that everything backs up from the signal. And so people are trying to make those left turns within that congestion and they can't see. And it's all of the accidents are really left turn accidents. So
westbound to northbound?
Yeah.
Eastbound to northbound?
Mm-hmm. So that's really what they saw. And Tony, it looks like Neil's got something.
Yes, sir.
So is this kind of similar to the same issue we had going eastbound on Sherman towards College, and we decided that we would make it a right turn only during certain hours of the afternoon? Is this
This
what?
is the same one. Yeah.
Okay, so it's just the others, it's going westbound now.
Well, it's actually, it came back up that people weren't following that sign. And so the request was made, well, what else can we do other than additional enforcement? And ODOT, it showed up on ODOT's SPIS list. It's in the top 10. And so they were looking at it, top 10%, I mean. And they were looking at it and looking at what the options are. And really, the only options they see are actually to force it. And so to put in either a median or pork chops on either side to force the right in, right out kind of concept there.
As I recall, when we dealt with this issue years ago on the eastbound traffic, we weren't totally convinced that we were solving the entire problem, because the only way to really have 100% enforcement is to basically like either do something where like a median that they cannot cross over, or have a police officer who is there during those hours and can cite. And that's just not productive for the police department type thing. So is this something that ODOT would then take over financially, or that the city has to also contribute to?
And I actually brought that up today, and she said, well, we're not, partly we need to think about what it is we want to do first, but she thought that there might be ways ODOT could cover most of the costs, but she did want us to run it by this group, the neighborhood and the citizens, and then also like TVF&R about the fact that all of a sudden there will be a median there, emergency services wise, to make sure that they don't have heartburn with that. So again, I'm not looking to get any feedback unless you had some from this group tonight, but I just wanted to give you guys a heads up that it's probably coming back, and that's what it's coming back as, ODOT's only real options. So
Can I recommend, if the rest of the commission is good with this, to maybe do just get some information as to if there are accidents, how many accidents, and maybe also how many citations that are issued for that no left turn we put in years ago. Just so if it's next meeting or whenever this comes up again, we might have some information to go on, being a little bit proactive.
yeah, I can actually get the numbers for you. ODOT did say today that actually all of the accidents were the left turns out of there, and conflicting at congestion times. So I don't have the numbers, but they did say that that's what they were seeing as the issue. And I can talk with Sergeant Roning to see if they've actually issued any citations. My guess is no.
Probably only the crashes.
Probably only the crashes. But yeah, they don't have the resources to plant there for any length of time. So
Totally understandable.
but like I said, I wasn't expecting you guys to have an opinion tonight. I just wanted you to get the latest and greatest, since literally I talked to her at 3:00 this afternoon. So
being that this is an ODOT project, would we have to have a hearing because it would restrict a movement off the city street?
I don't know that we would have to have a hearing, but I think they would like the city and the citizens to be good with it. Yeah, I don't think they would want to install it if we were completely opposed to it, if that makes sense.
Yep.
I just wanted to clarify that the median possible probable would be on College.
It would either be a median on College or some type of separator, kind of pork chop thing on the side streets. One of the two. Depends on how much room that they have. That's the other issue, is that there's a limited amount of room there with the curbs and the homes and those types of things. So
and utility poles.
And utility poles.
And then my other comment was that, this is the same area of town with the issue we just had, the hearing we just closed. So that would present those problems as well with parking and trash and emergency services.
It wouldn't present any issues with parking or really trash. They would have to redo their route. They wouldn't be able to go straight across. I don't know if they do that now. I don't know what their route looks like. I think the biggest issue will be to the residents, and then also to emergency services and how they work through that area of town. So that would be the other piece we would want to reach out to specifically.
But ODOT, if they funded it, would have their own public involvement campaign process that they'd go through to reach out to those same groups. So I wonder if is this going to get funded through the arts program, Carl?
That was what Dorothy Upton, who's the Region 2 traffic engineer, that's where the first numbers that she came up with, but then wasn't sure. So again, literally, this is like,
4 hours old.
4 hours old. I think it was like an hour old when she called me. So I'm not sure she's had any time to digest and figure out where the funding would come from or any of those kinds of things. So
ARTS is All Roads Transportation Safety, and it's a state-funded program through the House Bill 2017 to address intersections similar to this. I'm pointing my screen so I can Google Earth pulled up. But they're spending money I think Clackamas County, I just saw the bid package for that, 80 intersections for close to $1 million just to do minor striping, lane departure type improvements to keep people in the travel lane, not cross over or exit the roadway. So really small, quick, low-hanging fruit fixes, and this would fit right into that type of a program. So I think, I don't know, speaking for me, I'd fully support this going forward. But you're not asking for that yet for our support.
Not yet. I mean, if you want to provide it, we'll use that information. But like I said, I think we do need to reach out to the emergency services and the neighborhood also before we give any kind of a formal, yeah, we think we should do this or not.
Any other questions for Sheridan Street College intersection? All right, onward, Karin.
So a couple other general information, See-Click Fix. There's a couple links that I gave you, a video, and then also the website link, and download it. Feel free, everybody can then click on it and take a picture and get us that information. We've actually had a couple that came through under the traffic safety heading, although they weren't actually traffic safety, but it's starting to move that. And the hope is, again, that we can utilize the reporting that we get and update our active issues log in a more real-time manner. So that's kind of the next steps as people start to use it more, whether or not we can switch this out, because this is like a Excel spreadsheet that we update, manually. So it would be nice if we could do the other. So that's my hope as we move forward. So that is out and launched and available for people. Project updates, couple of new things. Elliott Road is still moving forward. Crestview Drive has been awarded and the contracts have been signed. So that work I think there's a pre-con scheduled next week. So that work will be starting, and that's Crestview Drive from Springbrook over to the county line. So that will be complete there. The Memorial Park sidewalks has also been awarded. That should be underway soon and complete by the end of the year. So that'll be moving forward, moving us down the path of completing some of our critical routes for ADA, and also that one will help with the Safe Routes to School grant that we've requested. College Street, the sidewalk on the west side and the bike lanes on both sides is also moving forward. We should have preliminary plans around January timeframe is the last date I heard. So that's moving forward also. Any other projects that anybody's heard about, questions that I didn't mention?
How about the riverfront? Anything that's going to affect us or anything that we can help affect with the sale of the?
Not at this point. From what I understand, the new owner will basically be demoing the site over the next 18 months. And then my assumption is then they will resell at that stage in the game, but that is strictly up to them on what they do. So at this point, probably not, but we may in the future.
And who fixed the pothole at College and 99? Is that a public works job or is that ODOT?
It was kind of a joint job. We at the city did the pothole, and ODOT did the traffic control on that.
Thank you and kudos.
Russ, can you pass that on to?
I will let them know.
Okay. Speaking of potholes, there's one at Mountain View in College in the left turn lane going southbound.
If you have C-Click Fix, you can get out there and take a picture, and then it'll geolocate that.
Okay.
But I will make a note and send that off to maintenance also. That is also, it should also be an ODOT fix, but we'll go from there.
So, Karin, the only thing I'm watching very closely the Elliott Road social medias, there's a lot of talk of Main Street and going past Jakewood Park needing a sidewalk.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to have the exact same issues that Elliott's having. But is that on the radar? And is that list of projects published somewhere we can point citizens to and say that's as pending funding?
Yeah, actually, our 5-year capital improvement program is on the city's website. If you go to the engineering page, the capital improvement program should be there. And the next, I think I spoke about this briefly at the last commission meeting, about the next projects that we have after Elliott and Crestview are really Springbrook Road, and that is the signal at Hayworth. And then the investigation about what we do at the Main Illinois 240 intersection. I know this commission has heard about that intersection for years, about, what do we need to do to fix it? So there's money to do the feasibility and figure that out. And then the next piece right now that's in there is Main Street. Again, I think I spoke with this group last time about whether Main Street is the right one or Mountain View Drive is the right one, between around Villa. So that's something that we can continue to discuss, and those are out a couple of years, but they are on the list. And Main Street is currently in the 5-year plan to at least start it.
And from the pavement maintenance program, is there still a focus looking at Old Town and fixing all the ramps that are down there from the PED ramp study that went on and the Safer Sidewalk program?
So the pavement projects are really about the pavement. We do fix the ADA ramps when we do a pavement project next to them, but we do it based on the condition of the roadway. So it's not really chosen because of the ADA or the sidewalks per se.
But with the sidewalk program, and so we talked about this in our HOA up here in North Newburgh. Do you guys know that Newburgh had a program for offsetting some of the costs of sidewalks or offering loans for sidewalk repairs for homeowners?
Probably not, because it just went live in the last month or so. Yes, we have $50,000 available for grants to help homeowners for up to half of the cost of their sidewalk repair, up to $1,500, plus an additional $500 if the need for the repair is caused by a tree. And there is, again, on our website, if you go to the website and then search for sidewalk, you're going to get to the sidewalk page, and those two programs are attached to that page. So there's the grant, and then the loan is for larger projects, and we can loan up to $6,000 per property owner, and it's a 4% interest rate, I believe, if I remember those numbers correctly. So those are both available until the funds run out. We will plan to have $50,000 in each program every fiscal year, as long as we have the ability to do that.
And is there any public education or mailings that went out to like targeted neighborhoods for that program?
Yeah, we've been trying to reach out to neighborhoods that are more disenfranchised, I guess you would say, first, just to give them the opportunity. And we've started that. We've reached out to the Latinx community all of the information has been translated into Spanish. We put together some flyers for that. And so that's kind of where we left most of the promotion at this point in time. And then we were going to wait until after the first of the year. And then assuming we don't have a whole lot of, if we don't have a whole lot of people who have signed up or spent the money, then we would do a more targeted campaign again for outreach.
I also like that you have a list of, I don't know, pre-approved is the right word, but a list of concrete contractors.
Right. They're not, they are pre-approved in the sense that they have done work around town. We can't, we as a city can't advocate for any one contractor, but I do know that that's always a question that we have is who do we call? So that's why we came up with a list of folks that you could call that have been doing work here in Newburgh.
All right. What's next? Hayes and Oak.
Mhm.
So yes, I attached a draft of a limited decision for installing or painting a crosswalk at on Hayes at Oak Grove, I believe it is. And there are reasonings why. I have not issued that decision actually yet. That would be a limited decision that myself as the city engineer can issue. Obviously, if you guys have any concerns with it, now would be the time because it would come back to you once I've issued that decision for you to affirm it or not, as the case may be. So now would be the time if you do have any concerns.
25 miles an hour?
Yes. And it would not just be striping a crosswalk. It would be doing some tree trimming, possibly some street lighting in the area. I noticed that the intersection itself, because of the way the trees hit, sometimes it's tough to tell that there's an intersection there. So we would trim up the trees, make sure the lighting was all adequate, and then install the sidewalk or the crosswalk.
And keep it two-way stop controlled. So Hayes
Correct.
will still be through.
I would advocate for that or be in support of it. I used to live in that area, and there's that new apartment complex that went in the last 5 years. There's a lot of families in the area. There's a lot of pedestrian traffic, and that Hayes Street can be used, you know, as a throughway to Freddy's or around traffic on 99. So I think it could be beneficial for the neighborhood.
Connor, are you looking for a vote from us tonight?
If you would like to, you can.
Save a month or two of process.
It's true.
Any questions of Karn, or if somebody wants to make a motion?
I'll move that we approve.
I'll second.
All right, it's been firsted and seconded. That's a terrible term. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor, raise your hand. Jeff and Sarah?
Aye.
Jeff's speaking to his screen, but we know he's saying something. So it sounds like it passes.
Well, thank you. We'll get that out here in the next couple of weeks then and get the notice out to the neighborhoods and make sure they don't have any issues. I can't imagine that they would, but, and we'll move that forward.
Excellent.
So the only other thing I had under general information was the question was asked about lowering the speed limits. So I provided some information from the city of Portland on their Vision Zero, which was the lower the speed limits in the neighborhoods down to 20 miles per hour. I have not yet been able to find any documentation about how well it's actually working. Are people, you know, with additional speed studies, since all of the speed limits have been lowered, are people actually abiding by that or not? And I have not. I think it's still too soon for anybody to have any of that hard data to know whether or not people are really following through. So
I'd also be curious to know how much money they spent putting signs up, and if Russ can afford that.
a lot. So as I get more information, I will make sure I pass it on to this group. And so that was all that I had under general information.
All right. River 6th. That was a past limited decision. There was one email towards the very end of the packet, Karn, about a unsigned four-way.
It was at an intersection at Hamilton and 2nd, and that there is no stop sign on either one of those streets. I had provided information about the policy that this group had adopted about how we go about installing stop signs. And they did not move forward with that, but he wanted his email forwarded onto this group. So that's what I did.
So Lincoln in 2nd or Grant in 2nd?
That was Hamilton in 2nd, I believe.
Harrison.
Sorry, I get the H's.
All those presidents.
I know it.
Harrison in 2nd. That's a T intersection. Is there?
Yeah, it's the one. It's the one by Dairy Queen. See, that's how I know it. It's
by the Blizzard.
Yeah.
Oh, weird. Okay. T intersection without a stop. I know there's a couple on 2nd that are not controlled one way or the other, but that's a weird one. But he didn't follow up. Is that something we can take up without his follow up?
We could. I mean, this group, we would have to look at your policy and determine that there was a need for that stop sign to be installed there. We had, as part of the policy, we talk about making sure the neighbors understand that, the people on the corners, that they know that there's a stop sign there now, and which stop sign, which way would you have stopped, and go from there.
Okay. Anybody interested in taking up that banter, that cause? All right.
Yeah, I think on this one we should stick to the process. You know, and I read the email. I understand he was pretty emotional and wanted an immediate response. Like, I think the second email is, "Where's my stop sign?" I already told you about it. And it's understandable when somebody has a close call that they get emotional. But I think we should hold them to that. We do have a process, and here is the input. And, you know, I can imagine he's probably frustrated and think it's bureaucracy, but I think it was like been pointed out before to this group. If we put a stop sign everywhere someone wanted a stop sign, we'd have a stop sign at every corner, and not only would it cost us $1 gazillion, we'd never get traffic through the city. That's my 2 cents. I think we should push back and say, look, this is the process, and if you don't fill in the process, you don't get your stop sign.
Karn, is there a stop sign at the intersection one up from that?
On Harrison or 2nd?
Well, I'm looking at a map, and it looks like between 2nd and 99W, there's another street that runs parallel with 2nd. it comes out directly across from Dairy Queen. I was wondering if that has a
drive.
stop sign. I'm sorry, what?
It's actually a driveway. It's not a street.
An alleyway.
It's an alley.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. And then
But-
if you look at 2nd Street, there's only between Howard and Harrison, there's only 2 stop signs on 2nd Street total.
So I'm in agreement with what's being said about following the process. And I think Mr. Courier, all of his years of experience being on city council, this shouldn't be something that he should object to. And then we can take care of it through that way we've established.
All right. And I think engineering report, general information, new business, nothing, old business, speed zone on Springbrook. So the crash data is at the very back of your packet.
And there's not a whole lot of information there. We would need to dig in some more, but I don't see a whole bunch of crashes that are affected by speed necessarily. There's probably 1 or 2 of those. And I did not get any information about the actual speed that people are going. The police department is still working through their speed trailer. We haven't gotten the speed trailer out there yet. So, but I wanted to provide this information that the commission asked for.
More to follow on that then.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Will the Crestview Drive extension, would that have an impact on the traffic flow through this area too? And what's the
Actually, it will, especially once, so between our project and the private development project, there's actually probably a lot of people that go north on Springbrook Road all the way up to Mountain View that will no longer use that route. They will probably turn onto Crestview there at the hospital and bypass this section. So my guess is that most of the people that then drive this section of the roadway are people that live right there off Victoria, Aquarius, those areas. So yeah, it will definitely make a difference.
What's the proposed speed limit going to be on Crestview Drive through that area, the extension?
We're proposing to sign it at 25.
And there's a couple of pretty good traffic calming features that will help enforce that as well.
Yeah, there's already, so if you haven't been there, in the portion that's constructed in the county, there are already some traffic circles in there that slow the speed down considerably. And there will be one that is installed on the private development side, the closer to 99. And then there will also be another one that'll be installed on the section that we're constructing there on that section. So that's some significant traffic calming that will happen through there.
All right. Well, let's, Russ, anything to add tonight?
Other than just listening to all the discussion that was going on, things have been going fairly well. I don't know, I didn't hear Karin touch on it. The 6th and River intersection work has been completed. And just this past 2 weeks, worked in conjunction with the police department on their speed enforcement downtown in the core area and reminding people of the speeds of 25 through town. So we had our VMS trailers out on both ends of town with that as well. And it seemed to have an impact.
Excellent. What was the fix at 6th and River? I should.
it's a four-way, all-way stop.
And it's amazing, says Sarah, who lives nearby. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Russ.
You're welcome.
Karn, Eric Funk has a question on the Crestview project of where is the city's traffic circle going to be? Is it at Crestview and Libra?
Yes.
Oh, you responded. There we go. All right. Starting at the bottom and working our way to the top. So we'll around the horn for the commissioner's comments, closing thoughts. Sarah.
While discussing stop signs at T intersections, I'd like to put in a word for the intersection of 4th and Howard. It's right near Memorial Park. It's right near Friends Church and by the Public Works area. And there's no stop sign there, even though, you know, there's lots of families and some additional sidewalks could be added, which I think Karn is working on, which is great. But I'd like to put in a word for a stop sign there as well, because it's a T intersection that's not stopped adjacent to a park.
Sarah, are you thinking on Howard or on 4th?
I'd have to look at the map. I believe on 4th.
I hear there's a form you can fill out online, Sarah.
I heard about that.
All right, Sarah, anything else?
Oh, sorry. I'd just like to say thank you again for the 6th Street stop sign.
You're welcome.
All right, Jeff.
I have no additional stop signs to suggest. No further info. Thanks, guys.
Leslie, anything?
No, my computer's at 3%, so I think I'm gonna make
Okay, we'll go fast. Bob?
nothing else.
Bob, anything?
Yeah, I was just looking at the citizen issue log and that thing over on Park Lane. We've never addressed that. You know, we looked into it, I guess, but we've never made a firm decision on it. And I see that there's 3 different requests in here to deal with it. Is that something we can put on the agenda for the next meeting?
We can. The struggle that we as staff have is we've brought a couple of different ideas to the commission, and the commission hasn't bid on anything. So
True.
yeah, so I guess we can certainly bring it back and have you evaluate and come up with another idea. You know, they've consistently asked for no parking. You know, as we've talked about, this is a public street. It's the size of any other public street in town. So, you know, staff hasn't come up with a good reason of why we would limit parking on that street. But every other option that we've come up with has been not been approved. So, but we can bring all that information back in January and have the commission come up with, you know, deliberate towards other options.
Carmen, if I remember correctly, there's 3 issues out there. One is the cut through traffic on Aldersgate Lane and then down to Pennington Drive from the neighbors that existed there prior to the apartments. The other is the no parking on Park Lane, oddly named. And then the other was the eastbound to northbound or eastbound turning movement and the site restriction on the northwest corner.
Right, which is, that one is an enforcement issue because there's a fence in the site distance And so that's something that we're dealing with through that realm.
And then the parking issue, it is kind of what it is. I don't think there's anything we looked at it and there's nothing we can do. I don't know if we just need to close that and say that there's no action.
I thought we painted the curb yellow on the north side from Trestle View Court towards Aldersgate, or a section of it.
We did paint a section of it, and that was not enough for the neighborhood.
Okay.
I guess one of the options is to hold a hearing to see what the community thinks we need to do.
We can do that.
If you guys, if the commission is up for another hearing. This has been on our tracking list now, I think, for 6 months, 9 months. Pre-COVID, it's been on it, and we haven't heard a fresh call to do something, a fresh call to action. I think it's just the newness of it, and they've established a rhythm out there. So now they've settled into it. It was pretty new when the complaints started coming in.
Tony?
Yes, sir.
I'm all for if we want to do a public hearing on it. I just question the response we'll get doing it virtually. It seems like we haven't gotten the response from the citizens like we have when pre-COVID, when we were able to have a meeting site and things like that. And I just don't want to be making decisions that impact a lot of people when we're really not able to obtain a lot of citizen input. That's what I'm a little bit leery of. I personally live in that area, but I just have been avoiding Park Lane. I don't think I've driven through it probably since June. I take other routes so I don't have to deal with it.
It's normalized.
I go over there every once in a while just to see what's going on with it. And I don't live anywhere near there. But the cars that are parking on the south side of it seem to always be there. And it's tenants that are there. And they're lazy. They don't want to park, where there is parking for them, because it's too long of a walk, I suppose, for them to do it. So they park right on the street. So, what we could do, I suppose, is hold off on it for a while until we don't have to be virtual anymore, and maybe get some action then.
I think if it's going to come back, once we start going back to some version of what normal is post-COVID, I think we can sit on until we get another round of complaints for the parking issue.
Yeah.
Be my recommendation to the group. Anything else, Bob?
Nope.
Excellent.
Good.
Roger.
Kind of along that same lines, I think at that point, or that meeting, we talked about having a joint meeting with the Planning Commission to talk about these kind of issues that we are seeing with parking, where apartments are being built with maybe less than adequate parking for the residents, and maybe a need to increase the requirements for parking for apartment complexes and things. But I think, didn't we talk about having a joint meeting to discuss some of those issues, and to see if there was something that might be done to try to prevent those kind of problems and issues in the future?
Yeah, I had mentioned that to Doug Ruffs to talk about that. Unfortunately, the Planning Commission has, I don't know, they're booked out, it seems like, for the next year with 3 or 4 hearings and a meeting. Bob could probably, tell me more, but but I did put that bug in Doug Rux's ear. And so hopefully, if some of this riverfront and urban renewal stuff can come off the list, that maybe that's a discussion we can continue to have with them.
I'll talk to Doug about it. Our agenda is full through, I think, January. But then February, March, April, not a lot of things going on. So
Actually,
maybe
you're
we can get
going to have all the
scheduled.
master plans updates then.
Well, true.
So if
I'll
I
bring
can
it up again.
suggest, we years ago we did do a joint meeting with Planning Commission. I think one of the things that we really learned from that is that the Planning Commission and the Traffic Safety Committee are really almost two different animals. Whereas we kind of think outside the box and think, you know, what can we do here? How can we manipulate it? The Planning Commission is really kind of regimented by law and statute, Oregon statute, on how they make decisions and timeframes that they do it. I know that they sent something over to us when the apartments were being built behind Fred Meyer's, and we ran into the problem of back then we were meeting monthly, and by the time we got it and then we review it and want some information on it and come back to do it, and they're in a 120-day time frame. So I'm not trying to say that we shouldn't do it, but I think what might be beneficial is before we do it, if both committees have a briefing as to what the other committee does and rules and stuff like that, so that we can make the time that we spend together more efficient and not have to make the same mistakes over again.
You're right on how the Planning Commission operates. I've been in the planning thing my whole life and done lots of projects in lots of places and even sat on a planning commission before. And I've never seen anything quite like how Oregon does it. It's different. And you're right, it takes a really long time.
All right, Roger's good. Mark.
I'm good.
Thank you. Neil? Zoom
I'm
user?
good. I'm sorry, what?
Zoom user? Your screen name.
I do what I can.
And I have nothing to add for the night. Our next meeting is January 3rd Monday of January. Second Monday of January. So
Should be the second Monday in January.
change your password to your Newberg email so you can keep getting these lovely Happy Friday emails from Lacey.
There's one question. Do we have any terms expiring end of the year?
Oh, good question.
I don't know. I'll have to look. I will look into that, and I'll send you guys an email and let you know. And then as I get also additional information, different things are coming out. You know, I sent you a couple of those links for the defensive driving and those kinds of things. I'll continue to send those kinds of things on to the group. You know, part of our charge is education of the citizens. So if we can get that information out to your friends and neighbors and stuff like that, that's all good.
All right. With that, we will look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And so it is moved, so it is done. Thank you all. See you in January.
All right.
Great.
Except Mark, I'll see you tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night?
Happy holidays.
All right.
Not all.
Take
See
care.
y'all later. Thanks.
Thank you for permitting me to attend. This is Eric Funk.
Thanks, Eric.
Thanks for being here.